Korra, the newly appointed sub-administrator of Yara Prime, known to its previous inhabitants as Avalon, surveyed her new domain. It was a lush and verdant world with a mild climate and abundant natural resources. Even after paying the tithe to the imperial chancellor, there would still be more than enough left over to allow for the development of this planet to imperial standards. She watched the work gangs of her 60 new human captives as they unloaded the cargo from Korra's ships. They were remarkably compliant and surrendered without a fight. Korra was slightly disappointed in that aspect, but it meant there was no need to make repairs to the settlement. It also freed up more of her personnel to sweep the nearby jungle for more humans and to take a quick survey of the area. So, a half-dozen three-person patrols were sent out in a 360 degrees arc. There was something peculiar about this place, though. The massive concrete walls were useless against her aerial attack, so why did they have them? Modern warfare had rendered such walls obsolete, and they seemed too large for just keeping out animals. Maybe it was because the previous inhabitants were so weak. The structures that housed livestock and the 3 communal living quarters were also much stronger than the rest of the buildings. They only had 2 doorways each, with heavy sliding steel doors and sliding steel shutters over the windows. They made excellent prisons, so once they had been looted and checked for weapons, it was decided to lock the captives in a single building at night. Strangely, the humans seemed relieved at this announcement. The humans' compliance also led to the unloading process being completed much quicker than expected. This efficiency left Korra with an unsettling feeling. As night fell over Avalon, Korra's mind raced with thoughts about the strangeness of the settlement. She couldn't shake off the feeling that something was amiss. The jungle, a dense tangle of vines and towering trees, loomed ominously at the edge of the settlement, whispering secrets in the night breeze. Korra gathered her top lieutenants for a strategy meeting in the command tent. "We need to understand why these humans are so compliant," she began, her voice steady but tinged with unease. "And why they built such fortified structures. I want more patrols in the jungle, but be cautious. There's something about this place I don't like." The lieutenants nodded, their faces serious. They were seasoned warriors, but the unknown had a way of unsettling even the most experienced. Meanwhile, in the makeshift prison, the human captives huddled together, whispering in hushed tones. One of them, a woman named Elena, who had once been a leader among her people, addressed the group. "We have to be ready. They don't know what they're dealing with. If we play our cards right, we can use this to our advantage." Outside, the first patrols ventured into the jungle. The air was thick with humidity, and the sounds of unseen creatures echoed through the trees. The patrols moved cautiously, their weapons at the ready. But as they pushed deeper into the jungle, they began to notice oddities. Strange symbols carved into trees, unnatural clearings, and the unmistakable feeling of being watched. Suddenly, one of the patrols stumbled upon a hidden entrance, partially covered by vines. It led down into darkness, a narrow tunnel that seemed to pulse with an eerie glow. Sergeant Kira, the patrol leader, motioned for silence as she crept closer. "Looks like some kind of passage," she whispered. "We need to report this." Back at the settlement, Korra was growing impatient. The night was dragging on, and the patrols had yet to return. She decided to check on the captives. As she entered the prison, she was met with silent stares. Elena stepped forward, her eyes defiant. "You don't understand this place," she said calmly. "You think you've conquered us, but Avalon has its own defenders." Korra scoffed. "What are you talking about? We've taken control with ease." Elena smirked. "You'll see soon enough." Just then, a commotion erupted outside. The patrols were returning, but something was wrong. They were running, and behind them, the jungle seemed to come alive with movement. Shadows darted between the trees, and a low, guttural growl filled the air. Korra rushed outside, her eyes widening as she saw what was pursuing her men. Creatures, half shadow, half beast, emerged from the jungle, their eyes glowing with an otherworldly light. They moved with terrifying speed, overtaking the fleeing soldiers in seconds. "Fall back. Defend the perimeter," Korra shouted, her heart pounding. Her warriors formed a defensive line, weapons ready. The creatures halted at the edge of the clearing, their eyes fixed on the invaders. From within the ranks of the humans, Elena's voice rang out. They protect us. This is their world, and they will not let you take it. Korra realized with a sinking feeling that she had underestimated Avalon. This world was more than just lush jungles and resources. It was alive, and it had its own ways of defending itself. The night was far from over, and the real battle was just beginning. The tension in the air was palpable as Korra's soldiers formed a tight defensive line, their eyes darting between the eerie jungle and the mysterious creatures now stalking the edge of the clearing. Korra, determined not to show fear, tightened her grip on her plasma rifle. "Hold your ground," she commanded, her voice steady. "We will not be intimidated." The creatures, sensing the standoff, circled the perimeter, their glowing eyes never leaving the intruders. Suddenly, one of the beasts let out a bone-chilling howl, a signal that reverberated through the night. Korra turned to her second-in-command, Lieutenant Yara. "We need to find out what these things are and how to fight them. Get our scientists on it now." Yara nodded and sprinted towards the command tent, where the small team of scientists had been analyzing the planet's flora and fauna. They were startled but quickly mobilized, gathering equipment and data to analyze the creatures. Meanwhile, back in the prison, Elena and the other captives exchanged hopeful glances. "This is our chance," she whispered. "We need to coordinate with the defenders of this world." Elena approached the heavy steel door and rapped on it. A guard peered through the small window. "What do you want?" he growled. "Tell your leader we can help," Elena said calmly. "We know these creatures and this land better than anyone. You'll need our knowledge to survive the night." The guard hesitated, then nodded. Moments later, Korra appeared, her expression skeptical but curious. "You have information that could help us?" "Yes," Elena replied. "These creatures are the guardians of Avalon. They are ancient and powerful, and they protect the balance of this world. If you want to survive, you must respect that balance." Korra frowned. "And how do we do that?" Elena took a deep breath. "Release us. Let us help you. Together, we can find a way to coexist with the Guardians. Otherwise, they will tear you apart." Korra considered the offer. She knew she had little choice. The creatures were a threat unlike anything she had encountered, and she needed every advantage. "Fine," she said finally. "But know this, if you betray us, you will not live to see another day." Elena nodded. "Understood." The heavy doors slid open, and the captives emerged, their expressions determined. Elena immediately began organizing them, instructing them to gather certain plants and materials from the jungle. Korra watched, intrigued by the efficiency and knowledge of these former prisoners. As the night wore on, the Guardians continued their watchful vigil, but they did not attack. Instead, they seemed to sense the change in the dynamic. Elena and her people worked quickly, creating a series of symbols and markings around the settlement. She explained to Korra that these symbols were ancient wards, meant to show respect and intent to coexist. "We must make an offering," Elena said. "A sign of peace." Korra was skeptical. "An offering? What kind of offering?" Elena smiled. "Something that shows we mean no harm. Something valuable." Korra thought for a moment, then ordered her soldiers to bring forth a chest of supplies, tools, seeds, and technology. "Will this do?" Elena nodded. "It's a start." With the offering prepared, Elena and Korra, accompanied by a small group, ventured to the edge of the jungle. The Guardians watched, their eyes glowing in the darkness. Elena stepped forward, placing the offering on the ground and speaking in a language Korra did not understand. The creatures seemed to listen, their growls softening. After a tense moment, the largest of the Guardians stepped forward, sniffing the offering. It let out a low rumble, and the other creatures relaxed, their postures no longer threatening. Elena turned to Korra, a triumphant smile on her face. "They accept," she said. "We have a chance to live here in peace, but only if we respect the laws of this world." Korra nodded, feeling a mixture of relief and awe. "Then we will learn your ways," she said, "and together we will thrive." As dawn broke over Avalon, the first rays of sunlight illuminated the strange new alliance. Humans and Guardians, once enemies, now stood side by side, ready to face the future together in this mysterious and vibrant world. With the dawn came a newfound sense of cooperation and understanding on Avalon. Korra and her team worked alongside Elena and her people, learning the intricacies of the planet and its guardians. The creatures, once perceived as adversaries, now seemed almost protective, guiding the humans through the dense jungle and warning them of hidden dangers. Under Elena's guidance, the settlement began to flourish. The humans adapted their technology to harmonize with the natural rhythms of Avalon, using sustainable methods to cultivate the land and harness its resources without disrupting the delicate balance maintained by the Guardians. In return, the Guardians allowed them access to certain areas of the jungle for gathering food and materials, marking boundaries that were respected by both parties. Months passed, and Avalon transformed into a thriving outpost of the Galactic Empire. The settlement expanded, with sturdy structures blending seamlessly into the lush environment. Trade flourished between Avalon and neighboring planets, as word spread of the unique alliance between humans and Guardians. Korra, now deeply integrated into Avalon's community, stood on a platform overlooking the settlement. She marveled at how far they had come since that fateful night of confrontation. The once hostile captives had become valued allies, contributing their knowledge of Avalon's flora and fauna to enhance the settlement's resilience and sustainability. One day, as Korra supervised a team of engineers working on a new irrigation system, Elena approached her with a small group of Guardians at her side. They had an urgent expression on their faces. "What is it?" Korra asked, noting the tension in Elena's posture. Elena spoke softly but urgently. "There is a disturbance in the jungle. One of the ancient temples, deep within the heart of Avalon, has shown signs of awakening." Korra's brow furrowed. "Temple? What do you mean?" Elena explained that Avalon was not just a verdant world with natural beauty. It was also home to ancient ruins and sacred sites left behind by a civilization that had once thrived there. The Guardians had protected these sites for centuries, but something had stirred within the temple, causing unrest among the creatures. "We must investigate," Elena insisted. "The balance of Avalon is at stake." Korra nodded solemnly. "Gather our best explorers and researchers. We will approach the temple cautiously, but we need to understand what is happening." Together, Korra, Elena, and a team of volunteers ventured into the heart of the jungle, guided by the Guardians. The journey was treacherous, with dense foliage and hidden traps left behind by the ancient inhabitants. Yet, the Guardians seemed to anticipate every danger, leading the group safely through the maze of vines and towering trees. Finally, they reached the temple, a massive structure, covered in intricate carvings and adorned with symbols of a forgotten civilization. The air around it hummed with energy, sending shivers down Korra's spine. She knew they were on the brink of discovering something extraordinary. As they entered the temple, they were met with darkness and a musty smell of ancient stone. Torchlight flickered on the walls, revealing murals depicting scenes of prosperity and reverence for the natural world. But as they ventured deeper, they found signs of disturbance. Recently disturbed artifacts, scattered scrolls, and a faint echo of voices from centuries past. In the heart of the temple, they discovered a chamber bathed in an ethereal blue light. At its center lay a pedestal, upon which rested a glowing crystal pulsating with energy. The Guardians growled softly, their unease palpable. "What is this?" Korra whispered, awestruck by the sight before her. Elena approached the crystal cautiously, her eyes wide with wonder. "It's a source of immense power," she said, her voice tinged with reverence. "But it must be safeguarded. The balance of Avalon depends on it." Suddenly, a rumble echoed through the chamber, and the temple walls shook. The ground beneath their feet trembled as ancient mechanisms awakened, revealing a hidden passage leading even deeper underground. Korra exchanged a determined glance with Elena. "We have to go deeper," she said, her voice firm. "There's more to this than we ever imagined." With the Guardians at their side, Korra, Elena, and their team descended into the depths of the temple, where secrets of Avalon's past and future awaited them, intertwined with the Guardians' enigmatic presence. Together, they would uncover truths that would reshape their understanding of this remarkable world and their place within it. As Korra, Elena, and their team ventured deeper into the temple. The air grew colder, and the walls seemed to whisper ancient secrets. They navigated through winding corridors and chambers adorned with relics and glyphs that hinted at a civilization long forgotten by time. The Guardians remained vigilant, their senses keen to any hint of danger lurking in the shadows. After what felt like hours of exploration, they reached a vast chamber bathed in a soft, pulsating glow. At its center, an enormous crystal pillar rose from the ground, emitting a mesmerizing light that danced across the walls. Around it, intricate mechanisms hummed with energy, ancient runes glowing faintly with each pulse. Elena approached the crystal cautiously, her fingers hovering just above its smooth surface. "This crystal is a conduit," she murmured, her voice filled with awe. "It channels the essence of Avalon itself, the life force that sustains this world." Korra stepped forward, her eyes narrowing as she examined the mechanisms surrounding the crystal. "But why is it awakening now?" she wondered aloud. "And what does it mean for Avalon?" Before Elena could respond, a low, rumbling sound filled the chamber, shaking the ground beneath their feet. The walls trembled, and dust cascaded from the ceiling as the ancient temple seemed to come alive around them. Panic flickered across the faces of their team, but the Guardians stood steadfast, their presence a reassuring anchor amidst the chaos. Korra stepped forward, her resolve unwavering. "Who are you?" she demanded, her voice firm. The figure regarded her with ancient eyes that seemed to pierce through time itself. "I am a guardian of this realm," they answered cryptically. "For generations, we have watched over the crystal, ensuring its power is used wisely." Elena stepped forward, her curiosity piqued. "But why now? What has caused the crystal to awaken?" The Guardian sighed, a sound laden with centuries of wisdom. "The arrival of outsiders has disrupted the harmony of Avalon," they explained. "Your presence, though unintended, has set events in motion that cannot be undone." Korra exchanged a glance with Elena, realizing the gravity of their situation. "We only sought to establish a peaceful coexistence," she said earnestly, "to learn from Avalon and protect its natural beauty." The Guardian nodded slowly, their expression softening. "Your intentions are noble, but the heart of Avalon is a force that transcends mortal understanding," they replied. "It must be safeguarded at all costs." As if in response to their conversation, the crystal shimmered brighter, its pulses becoming more intense. The chamber vibrated with energy, and Korra could feel a deep resonance within her own being, a connection to the essence of Avalon itself. "We must find a way to restore balance," Elena urged, her voice urgent, "to ensure that Avalon remains unharmed." The Guardian regarded them solemnly. "There is a ritual," they said finally, "a ritual that requires the cooperation of humans and Guardians alike. Only then can the heart of Avalon be appeased." Korra nodded, determination etched on her features. "Tell us what we must do," she said resolutely. "We will do whatever it takes to protect this world." With the guidance of the Guardian, Korra, Elena, and their team embarked on a journey of unity and understanding. Together with the Guardians, they performed the ancient ritual, channeling their energies into restoring the balance of Avalon. The crystal responded to their efforts, its glow stabilizing as the tumultuous energy subsided. In the aftermath, as they emerged from the temple, the air felt lighter, infused with a sense of peace and renewal. The Guardians stood alongside the humans, their mutual respect evident in the silent understanding that had formed between them. "We will remain vigilant," Korra vowed, addressing the Guardian, "to ensure that Avalon thrives under our stewardship." The Guardian inclined their head in acknowledgement. "Avalon has chosen you," they said solemnly. "May your bond with this world endure for generations to come." And so, Korra and Elena, with the support of their newfound allies, led Avalon into a future where humans and Guardians coexisted harmoniously, each respecting the other's role and preserving the delicate balance of their shared home. Together, they unlocked the mysteries of Avalon and forged a bond that transcended differences, ensuring that the heart of Avalon would continue to beat with life and vitality for all who called it home.